with Unity, they specifically have the graph editor.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys, and like in Unreal, like I also know Unreal Engine. They have blueprints,
Yeah.
which is visual coding, right? That's the future, because that's what really bridged the gap in the beginning before AI for me.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and our guest is.
I'm CodeAdvanced. Hello.
Hello. Thank you
Hello
very
again.
Hello again. Thank you very much for joining us, Code. It's a pleasure to sit and meet you.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Look out for the wild, folks. He might be a TV, but I wonder what channel we can get. 6 sucks. Try 12. 12 doesn't work either.
So, what is it you do here in this virtual landscape, Mr. Code?
Yeah, so I do a lot of things. I make avatars, I make worlds, I make videos. I guess what I need to do more of is socialize, ironically. But
Oh.
yeah, creating things and uploading them in VRChat is like has changed my life in
Oh.
like a good way.
How so, may I ask?
So I get a lot of like self-satisfaction out of creating things. Even if no one sees it, it's just like this weird thing about myself. I have to be creating something. If I don't do it for a long time, I'll feel like down and bad, you know?
Hmm.
So to be able to upload it directly in here, move it around, and like just the immediate testing back and forth with the worlds and everything really is like everything to me.
Oh, wow. So, how'd you get started here in VR chat and with creating things?
So yeah, I got I'm using the Oculus CV1, which is like the first commercial version of the Oculus that came out like a while back. Um, and when VRChat came out, you know, I saw the like Knuckles things and everything, and I was like, that's it's not really for me. I thought that's all it was, you know. So I avoided it for a long time. Even like 2020, I didn't play it anything after that. It wasn't until 2022 where I finally was like, all right, let's try it out. It seems like it's more than just that. And then it was, and it blew my mind. And I was just like, what have I been doing?
So, what?
Question for him, Line.
Shoot.
Wait a minute. He's already here. Okay, when you first came on to VR and everything else like this, and I ask everybody the same question. I know it gets a little old, but what was the weirdest thing you saw that going, nope, nope, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. You mentioned the knuckle thing. Everybody's mentions that. What was the weirdest thing you saw, freaked you out, and said, I'm gone. I'm out of I gotta go. Bye. Hop to a different room, whatever.
So yeah, the obviously when I first logged in, I was at like the weird little VR chat home. Didn't know what that was. Went into like one of the avatar portals, and I saw these like, like copywritten characters there, like Peter Griffin and stuff. Very confused, and I was like, okay, I could just be this. But okay, so after that, I'm looking through the world list. Oh, look, what's popular? The black cat. So I go
Oh.
in there, and yeah, what I see, like,
Black, yeah.
I can't exactly say what I remember, like exactly what it was, but I remember seeing like it must have been like Kermit the Frog or something with like very big boobs.
Hooters, tits, boobs, yeah.
And obviously it was a kid with it running around, and then I was blown away. I'm like into 3D modeling and everything, how good the physics were and everything. It's
Mm.
just like, but
Hey,
then
Ma, check it out. She's got bigger ones than you do, and that's on Kermit the Frog. Holy shit, they're bouncy. Yeah, I can imagine what was going through your mind. Uh-huh. Yep.
but then yeah, I did get quickly uncomfortable though and did leave.
Mm. So, I do have a question. You said you are into 3D modeling. Did you do it prior to VR chat, or did you learn it all in VR chat?
So yeah, I went to college for 3D animation, did all that. I even had a job a little while in special effects, but really hated it actually. And so now the best way to motivate myself is this game kind of,
Hmm.
because I haven't created as much stuff and as like quality stuff since I've started this.
Oh, wow. So, what is the 3D animation and asset creation side of things professionally like versus VR chat? How's it different?
Yeah, well, I worked at a special effects studio, and I didn't know this, but there was only one 3D guy when I got there, and I was the second one, and there was like a million of these. They're called like comp artists, which is like editing, you
Yeah.
know. But I was like, it was weird that there was only two of us, and there was so much that hinged on us. And
Mm.
so the bosses seemed to constantly be emailing us, constantly coming in and like hounding us. And the worst part about it is they didn't know how to do what we were doing. So they would ask for things that were impossible, that were just the time was impossible. And it was, in one word, it was soulless, man. Even
Ah.
making like movies and stuff, it was soulless, man.
Mm. So, what kind
And
of?
I
Oh,
Hey,
was
sorry.
very
whoops, go ahead.
surprised at how casual and insulting the bosses could be. I'll say that.
Oh.
Like
It's like a
cursing and
lot.
everything.
It's like I say, Lion. It looks good on paper until they actually somebody else has got to do it. They write it down. Hey, they can do this, but they're not the ones getting their hands dirty because they have never had even a sense of it.
Mm.
It's just like when they build cars, oh, it looks great. We can build it. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we can put it together and everything else. But the SOB that's got to work on it, it doesn't work that way. You literally have to tear the car apart just to get to the engine that's inside of it just to work on it because it's
Or
not
change
made
the
that
light
way.
bulb.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
change a light bulb anymore. It takes an act of Congress just to change a light bulb in your house. Why? Because I can't get the lens off of it because somebody was smart
Mm.
enough to figure, oh, it takes a smarter guy than me to unscrew 4 screws that are not even there.
Mm.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
You're also sort of forgetting how some of those light bulbs you have to reach your hand into the wheel well, remove the wheel well cover, then stick your hand into the underside of the engine and hope you can find the light housing, which is somewhere in the front of the car, while you're like a good 2.5 feet behind.
Hate it, man. Hate it.
Yeah. Yep, I know. I work
Oh.
on cars. I know what it's
Mm.
like. Yeah, who was the SOB to come up with this stupid idea? Yeah, it must have been good on paper, but sure in the hell he's not over here. Get your hand in there and twiddle around and cut the shit out of yourself because there's
Mm.
sharp objects in it.
Well,
Oh, never thought of that.
so
We'll
how
go through it.
what kind of things would you make professionally as a 3D comp artist? Like I have no idea what kinds of things you do or how in depth the whole creation is.
Yeah, so I was hired right out of college. I made
Mm.
my first little weird demo reel, and the city I lived in had a little studio, and they hired me. And
Mm.
it wasn't as an intern; it was just like an employee. I got like a little bit above minimum wage at the time. But I had a special effects job, and so at first they were working on a football movie, and the whole crowd and everything was CG, and they wanted me to make just CG people at first, like specifically just clothes, and that was easy enough. I did that, and then eventually they're like, okay, we're gonna teach you how to generate the crowds in the coliseums, and it was pretty cool. They would give me like this point cloud data they got from drones. They
Mm.
would fly around the stadium, and I could use that to know where to place them, how high to put everything. And then eventually it moved on to actually modeling the stadium. Um, then after that, we worked on like a weird goose movie. I forget what it was called, but I had to like there's a skill called like camera tracking, right?
Mm.
Where it's like you track the camera so you can put CG into it later, so you can match the camera in your CG project, so it moves the same way exactly. And I
Mm.
weirdly was kind of good at that, so that's what I did for a long time after that. Um, and then I worked at another little studio. We worked on it was like a B movie that was like the Navy SEALs versus zombies, but that one was pretty fun because I got to do like zombies, model them, make them like run around in the background.
Mm.
It was fun when I was like bouncing ideas off the other guy I was working with. Super fun. I learned so much. Like, obviously, learning on the job is the fastest way. You're like, you have anxiety, you're trying to get it done. So you're really forcing yourself to learn. But yeah, it's just, the people who owned the company they lived in California. The company wasn't there. And then they would fly in and just like berate everybody and then go away.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a mental thing.
Hmm. So, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Camera tracking and making zombies and stuff. Do you use a similar system to what you do now to 3D model? Then did you
Yeah,
do?
so I learned Maya, specifically Maya in college. I'm trying to get away from it because it's so pricey and like compared to everything else, like Blender's way better. Like learn Blender. Um, but I'm just so entrenched in it. I'm like trying to like transfer my skills now. The biggest thing that I'm trying to get over is like rigging the models and everything. It's just seems so different in Blender.
Hmm.
Like the weight painting and stuff. I hate weight painting, man.
Oh, what's so bad about
Question
weight
for him.
painting?
What?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I got a question. What's the difference between the other one and Blender that you had so much trouble with? Besides the painting part of it, is it the programming, or is it just trying to understand it, or what? What's the difficulty to you that you have problems?
Well, even to this day, my weight painting is still like I still am actively working on it. And when I say that, it's like when I lift up my arm, I don't want the side of my jacket to go up with it, right? So I paint it where it doesn't.
Hmm.
And there's just so many like weird glitches and like annoyances that happen that it's just whenever I try to like force myself to learn it in Blender, the motivation's gone.
Hmm. So
Ah, okay.
how do you do the weight painting in Maya then versus Blender? Like how do they do it over that way?
So, I mean, in Maya, it's just like if you're painting on a real sculpture, right? Um, I guess it may be similar in Blender. Like I literally have never tried to look it up because I hate it so much. Like, funnily enough, one of the reasons I did this whole VR chat thing was to force myself to create an avatar every month, every week,
Oh.
because because I hated making like humanoid anything. It was always like hard surface environments. So it was like a way to motivate myself.
Hmm.
So like there's Maya has gotten much better with the weight painting. It used to be so glitchy and like you would like copy the weights over to the other side and it wouldn't be right. So you just have to weight paint the other side as well, even though it was the exact same. Hated that.
Oh, so the process of weight painting on Maya is similar?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it is. I because of money, I would want to go to Blender and I maybe there's some tutorials out there how to weight paint in Blender.
Hmm.
Or maybe there's some awesome plugins. That'd be cool to find.
Hmm.
Like it's like my biggest issue with 3D
Hmm.
modeling.
Is weight painting. So what got you into
Yeah,
3D modeling and weight painting in the beginning? Like what drove you to want to do that as a job and have a skill set in that?
well, so like 3D modeling and texturing, anything that's not human or like not an avatar is very comfortable for me.
Hmm.
Like with enough time, like I could do anything, I feel like,
Hmm.
and make it look like super real, whatever. Um, but then always knowing that I was super weak in this one aspect was just kind of eating at me. So it's like trying to make it like one of my strongest aspects.
Hmm.
So like specifically now I'm trying to work more on like actual human bodies. A lot of the avatars I made are like robot kind of people.
Hmm.
So now I'm trying to really focus on anatomy, especially in this. Like you see some of the most popular avatars in this game, it's always these like e-girls and stuff that look exactly like real life, right?
Yeah.
Like people like realism, I guess, or like anime realism.
Hmm. Well, necessarily when you create avatars, I'd say what you want to make would depend on who you want to pander to. You can make what you want, and the right people will find your product and like it, or you can make what the people want. But then again, at that point, you're not making what you enjoy; you're making what the crowd enjoys at that point. So motivation maybe in that field may be a little harder than normal. So learning a skill set you don't know, I'd say is a really good thing to do as a person because keeping this little meatball rolling is a very important in life. As Raptor says, the moment you stop learning, you might as well be dead.
That's a good, yeah, it's a good mantra. Yeah, and that's what motivates me.
That ain't
And
the word
that's,
for it. Just trying to get back alive, going, ouch.
Hmm.
and I find that I get demotivated when nothing is challenging me too. So I think it's a part of it.
Okay. So way back at the beginning before you went to college was my question initially. Why 3D modeling?
Oh,
Why
right.
get into that whole
So
sphere?
yeah, I'm like millennial, right? It's my
Mm,
age. So I kind of grew up, when the internet just came about, game consoles were just like every time it was like so amazing and better. So just like many people at that time, I wanted to make games when I got older.
mm,
Always super into it, played games like my whole life. And then VR always was super interesting to me. I wanted to do the Oculus Kickstarter when it came out, but I ended up getting the CV1. But yeah, like going to college, if you're going to college, just wait. Don't go right after high school. That's my biggest advice. You don't know what you want.
mm,
But so, like, going to college, I didn't know what I wanted really, or like, I kind of did. Like, I wanted to make games, but thinking about it now, if I could go back, something like learning it myself or something would have been better. Because I've kind of found that about myself. It's like, if you really want it and you really want to learn it, nowadays there's really a way to do it without college, like
mm,
YouTube, anything.
mm. There's so many tutorials to learn things out there, regardless of what. You can pick up any skill you want without going to college. Fuck. Let's say you want to learn to code to make shaders. You can learn C# in a free code camp in a Google search and learn the entire thing for free with programs you can get for free. The only thing is you have to invest time into learning it. And most businesses now will allow to take you being a self-taught as long as you have the portfolio to prove you know what you know.
Yeah. So I had that
I,
special effects job like a while ago, and every so often I'll see like a game dev job that I'll apply for, and because of the time gap between that job, I always get a little nervous. But they all like I've had a few interviews where they don't care because of what I can prove, what I can do. So it's exactly
Hmm.
like you're saying.
Hmm. Well, at least with you still doing
The
work
schooling is
in
like,
VRChat, you still have that constant rotating, viewable portfolio to show. It's like, yeah, I haven't been working in this field in a while, but I've been making 3D stuff here. You can go to VRChat and see all of it live for yourself.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, there was a guy I spoke to in an interview that it was cool to him that he could go do that
Hmm.
instead of just like going to a website.
Oh. So what is the whole 3D modeling and 3D modeling, special effects, and game dev people think about our little side of the internet?
Hmm. Yeah, so a lot of the guys I worked with they've been there a long time. And they even use programs that even the newer studios didn't use. So they're kind of set in their ways.
Hmm.
So I think some of those people were a little nervous,
R-
meaning like they kind of knew that someone could just learn what they know without college and take the job for less pay. Like a
Hmm.
few of the conversations I had, it was almost like they didn't want to be friends with you because of that kind of environment.
Really? They have that kind of
Yeah.
a viewpoint of that?
I mean, to me, if you can do it, you're just as valuable. You deserve money, like not less money just because you haven't been here. If you can do it, you deserve that amount of money. And
Hmm.
there's just a lot of them didn't think that way. And
Hmm.
to me, it's just like actions speak louder than words, man.
Hmm.
And that's the main thing with like the jobs. It's just so annoying how it's like connections and all of this, where it's like, dude, and these companies wonder why they do these like huge failures and stuff. And it's like because you don't hire the right way.
Hmm. I see. It feels like,
He's got a point.
yeah, he does have a
He's got a
point.
point, Lion.
I know he
He's got
does.
a big point. What's sad? What's sad about what you're saying, Code? It's bad, and I tell this to a lot of people today. You go to college, they teach you the basic outline. Then when you go work for a company, that the college is not teaching you what the companies are teaching you. So what amounts to is you go there and you walk in blind and you're going, this is not what I was taught. If you're literally drilled into your head how the things are supposed to work, and you work for a company, they reprogram you to work their way and how things work. And you stand there like literally scared shitless, and the word gets out going, you walk in blind. You are not confident enough to do the job now. Yeah, you might have all this experience, but I can't do it because they're training me all over again. And it's just a basic, and you're dumped all this money for a basic outline. But the companies, I had a plumber not too long ago. You know, you need to go to college, fork out 50 grand and go to college to be a plumber. I go, why?
Damn.
I got
I
the
didn't know
best
that.
teacher right here, right beside me, that's got 30 or 40 years of plumbing behind you, and you
Mm.
can teach me.
Mm. The
And
funny
why
thing
spend
about
50
plumbing, Raptor,
grand on.
is with like plumbing specifically, depending on where you live, you can work under a person and then just take the journeyman's test in some places. You don't necessarily need to
Yeah,
go to college
yeah,
to take it.
to go to
You can just apply
college to
for it
do
like
it.
you
But
would a driver's test.
yeah, but what I'm still, it's the same, almost the same setup. It's you're working under somebody else that's got the experience, knows what it is outside,
Mm.
not behind a classroom, outside. What it's like to deal with the public, what they want, da da da, like this, what they need, and all that kind of. They don't teach that in college. So when a new person comes out of college thinking, "Hey, I got this by the balls. I understand what I'm doing," all of a sudden they get their first job and they're going, "Whoa, this is not what." Their confidence goes into a shell, and they're scared shitless. Well, I just got this job. How soon am I going to be canned? Because
Mm.
I'm not keeping up with the big crowd, the guys that have been here longer. Yeah, because they had to do it the hard way, like what you're saying. But you've got the new tech, they've got the old tech, and it's so easier. And they down frown on you because, wow, you're doing what the fuck? You're doing this like it's no tomorrow because times have changed. You've kept up with the modern stuff. They're still stuck behind trying to keep up with the younger generation because they were
Mm.
taught the newer shit instead of being taught.
Mm.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh.
It's downright fucking weird.
Mm. So Code,
That's the
I
way I
agree.
see it.
so is there anyone in those fields that are interested in like what goes on and over here, like the kind of things we got, or is this mostly just looking down?
I mean, yeah, there was so weirdly enough, the studio I was in eventually moved to a different city, so I had to like commute. That was another
Mm.
big reason why I left because it sucks. Which was another thing they wouldn't let me remote work too, even though I could, which was very annoying.
Mm.
But so I drive an hour every day, and which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was at the time. My car was jank. You know, I was right out of college. I wasn't banking. But so when we moved to that studio, it had other studios in it, like little indie studios and stuff. Like one of them was like one room with one guy.
Mm.
And I would go talk to him, and he would do like these weird like shark movie special effects stuff. And he was super interested in VR. And like he would always talk to me about it. I would go in there a lot and talk to him about it. And his whole thing, like at the time, uh, I don't think. When did VRChat come out?
It was like 2014, 2013. It's like 10 years old now. 2014.
Oh, okay. So it had like just come out whenever we were talking about it, because I didn't really know about it at the time. I think he was talking about it. Now that I'm thinking about it, he was probably because he was talking about like worlds and literally like because you know we talk about the remote work thing,
Mm.
and he was saying like all their excuses for it, like not paying attention, yada yada. It would be different in VR to have like these meetings and interactions.
Mm.
And he and I agreed on that, like how remote work could evolve into that, like digital studios.
Hmm. Well, there's someone we know that their company is a digital studio. They have they work in a program. It's not VRChat. It's something else entirely. And I don't want to release any more than that because that's the company's prerogative to share, not me. But it, he does work that way. Not necessarily in VR all the time. Sometimes it's a desktop, but the option is there. So digital studios is rolling around.
Yeah, and I think having like, oh, I can get up from my desk and go over here and know this guy is here to talk to him,
Hmm.
which is, that's like the whole point of like, I don't know what the arguments are for like in-person work. There's not very good arguments.
Hmm. I think we're just in
I
an
think it's
it.
a lot of
Oh, sorry.
commercial real estate like
Hmm.
fumbling.
Hmm. Maybe it's just the turning of the times. We're now at an age where like us millennials and Zoomers are now looking to for technological differences, while the Gen X and Boomers are still like invested in land and they're used to the way the things they run. I'd say give it another 10 years, 10, 20 years when people like you and I as millennials start taking over. It's like we're taking this whole company and taking it onto the internet, and things may change at that point. And necessarily, if you do it in VR, it's cheaper. You're not buying land.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so many like benefits to it. You could obviously people can live far away from each other. There's data proving that working from home makes you happier and more productive. What company wouldn't want that?
Hey,
Hmm.
look on the bright
So
side line.
Hmm.
You wouldn't have to be able to go, guess what? I can't call into work. Wait a minute. You work from home. How
Yeah.
can you say that you're saying you can't drive to work? So it's snowing like a bitch outside and I can't get to work. Huh? You do it from home. There's no excuses. They're always there no matter what the ordeal
Hmm.
is when you need them, whatever schedule they want to work out. But you could give them the piss. My car broke down. Work from home. The only thing that'd break down is the internet dropped out and you lost it. That'd be the only thing. My net just dropped. That'd be the only excuse you'd have. There'd be no piss excuses anymore.
Oh. Hmm. So
yeah,
how? Ooh, you continue.
like I think a lot less people would call out. I think it's a lot of BS, and it would come out then.
Hmm. You are right. It'd be hard to call out too. There'd be no excuse. What do you mean you're sick? Just put on the stupid headset. Get on your computer. If you got to take a shit, it's next to your room.
You could wear it on the toilet.
We both know people in this game
All you
who's
hear
done
is a
that.
flush in the. All you hear is a flush in the background. Well, you know where Billy is. Yeah, he's on the shitter. He must be pretty crapped out. He's having a shitty day already.
Well, so a little bit of another change of pace since you do both the Unity and Blender VRChat style developing, and you did the other stuff before. What kind of techniques do they do differently professionally versus here in VRChat?
So professionally, I mean, they're always willing to throw money at something that will make it faster and still get them more money. That seemed to be a lot of the conversation was
Mm.
about if we get the software, is it worth it? Like there was one time where I don't know if you know about a software called Agisoft. It's like
No.
a weird 3D scanning uh, software. So what they would do is they'd have these actors stand around and they'd take like a bunch of photos
Mm.
and then they send those photos to us and we'd upload it into this program and then it would just recreate the 3D model with the texture, which was super crazy. But it would look like some weird paper mache plaster thing with all these like things coming off it. So then I would have to like literally just clean it up, copy the texture, fix the texture and everything.
Mm.
So I guess the cool thing is they have money whenever they want to use it to buy new software. But at the same time, like I find that I come up with some really cool stuff when I don't want to spend money or don't want to buy software. Like coming up with these interesting ideas that save me money and that actually makes me like learn about the programs more. So I think that way is better.
Hmm. What kind of things that have you learned that are your favorite things you've learned by doing it that way?
Let's see. Um, so well, I get a lot of satisfaction out of figuring out weird ways to do things as well.
Hmm.
One thing that like adding subtitles to videos. There's a million different ways to do it. And you could pay for a lot of services, but I didn't want to pay. So at first, I would just type it myself and stuff, but that took like way too long. And then I figured out, well, I guess I do pay in a sense, but I use this. So ChatGPT, right?
Mm.
There's another program called I think it's called Subtitle Whisper, and you can connect your account there, upload your video, and then it generates the subtitles.
Mm. Fun
And then you
fact.
can just export it from.
Oh. Wondershare from More has an AI system that will do that and allow you to click and drag the subtitles into the video. You'll pay like 120 something a year for the AI tool editions, but it'll take the entire video, process it, create text of it right within the video program, and then you can just click and drag the text bubble wherever you want, and then it'll through AI just give you the entire thing, transcribe it.
Yeah. And at first I wasn't doing stuff like that, but you got to think about all the people that don't play with sound and stuff like that. So you're missing out if you don't do subtitles.
You got a point there, though. That is really cool. I didn't know there were other softwares to do that kind of thing. Do you use AI regularly in your work?
I do. I would say I am an AI advocate in the sense of like, it's like a calculator, right?
Mm.
You can use it to make stuff faster and better and cooler. I'm not, obviously, if you are using it with copyrighted images into it, that's wrong and you shouldn't do that. But that's like any art, right? People can do that with Photoshop. So to say that it's like because AI is made without copywritten data, right? Like the legal models. Like even ChatGPT, the images you get from it, like they clarify and everything. So that being said, I'll use it in that sense in a lot of ways. One of the ways is I have a little internet show that I like to do. It's like a little news show called the Net Report, and I wanted to have a co-host, but asking people, and it doesn't get a lot of views or whatever. So I was like, maybe I'll just make one. So I made an avatar, and then I was like, okay, ChatGPT has a box where you can input custom instructions. So I made like a custom personality for her that I put in there with all these like different parameters, things she should say, people she should be inspired by, or like quotes she should be inspired by, or whatever. And then I'll ask her questions and have text to speech respond to me. So I can literally like talk to her, which is really cool. And because with the custom instructions, it's not just like some generic AI response, it's like a cool like cyberpunk assistant girl response. So and I love that. And one of the things that's really cool is a service called 11 Labs.
Yep.
It's like one of the best like text to speech things. And I tried that with her, and man, that was convincing. The only thing is the pricing on it is a little high for the character limits you get. So I ended up using Azure, Microsoft, or was that Microsoft Azure? It's like much cheaper voice service. So that, and then so I'll get like textures from ChatGPT. Like I'll say like I need a sci-fi wall texture. I'll get it, be able to bring it into my texturing software, manipulate it, whatever. And that has been like, I'll say that has been like life-changing for me. Because having to like go out, buy texture packs, find free texture packs, like that's time consuming and like restricting. Now it's just based on like what I want and can think of and talk to the AI about, which is super powerful. Even just simple as like a leaf texture,
Yeah. So is AI becoming more useful in the 3D modeling world? Because I remember seeing some work or some articles and posts and stuff from like X and Google saying, and even talking with a friend of ours, Anais, for example, it looks like 3D modeling with AI is a possibility. Like even now, you can get the giant world. Well, the one time I can think of big words, the skybox. There we go. There's a website you go to have AI generate skyboxes, for example. Is it getting better
Yeah.
with 3D modeling and stuff?
So yeah, the textures and stuff I'd say are like perfected, right? But like so is modeling. I um I have a sushi bar world, right? And
Uh,
I for the longest time I wanted it to have where it could have like sushi stick on the tray, be able to take it off, eat it, and it stay on the tray. It sounds simple, but it was really hard for me to do because I don't have a lot of coding skills. Like I can do everything and anything in Unity, but when it comes to like coding, like my skills are like very low. But
mm,
AI bridged that gap for me because I know enough about coding to know like what's causing the issue in the code or whatever. But as far as like starting from scratch and making it, that's like hard for me. So having the AI do that and then me kind of go in and like manipulate it based on what I want made it possible for me to do the sushi thing. So it works now.
oh
So that
wow.
is like, but that and also like this, see this grass here? I have like another grass area in my world, and I wanted to have like a swaying grass texture, which is written in another type of like coding, shader coding thing in Unity that I didn't know about. But again, I asked AI to do it, and then once I had the base, I can manipulate it a little bit, and then now I have swaying grass. And it's
Oh
all
wow.
like, and it's like I didn't steal anything.
Mm.
Some people might think I did. I don't know.
Well, not necessarily because the AI created the code from scratch for you. It's not like you're asking, I want you to take the swaying grass from Shrek and make it a thing I could do in Unity. At that point, you are stealing when you're instructing it to take items from another thing. I'd say yes. But if you're asking, I want a swaying grass texture and it creates a swaying grass for you, I wouldn't personally see that as stealing, at least personally.
Yeah, and specifically in ChatGPT, if you say anything copywritten, like I want it to be like this copywritten thing, it will stop you. It will not let you. So
Mm.
the way I worded it was like, I want a swaying grass shader in Unity. How would I do that? And then you just kind of keep conversing with it until you get what you want. So it's not like you instantly get it. It's a lot of back and forth.
It takes some AI prompting. We talked to a friend of ours, the Anais, the person you mentioned before, walked us through AI prompting. And I sat us down with ChatGPT and showed us like, here's what prompting correctly can do. And he created us like a podcasting coach, for example, is what he worked us with for AI. He's like, yep, with the right prompts and stuff, and if we can have it do the coach, and can even do as far as we can take AI, have it write scripts of your previous videos, and you threw those in ChatGPT, so now it knows what you do as information based knowledge. And now when you ask it questions, it'll give you the proper stuff how to improve. And you let us talk with it. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, the crazy thing about ChatGPT is whatever's in the conversation that you're talking with it can refer back to it.
Mm.
And now you can upload files. So what I've been thinking about doing is gathering all the conversations I've had with AV, the AI assistant I have, putting it into a PDF and then uploading it so she can always have a reference back to everything we've talked about. So
Mm. Well,
it'd be super interesting.
I think right now you can only upload so many files at a time, but yeah, you could. It is very cool if you give the ChatGPT information as reference. Like, if you wanted having a coding genius who have the PDF of a textbook, you could put that in there. It'll know the textbook. If you want it to know like very niche things on mythology, you just take the mythology information in a Word document or PDF and just feed it, and it'll know it.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I
Mm.
don't and there's so much hate online though for AI though. I'm always like a little like I have two avatars that I made that have like support AI art on it. And
Mm.
like I remember specifically in a world, one guy saw me and he's like, "Oh, I want that." I was like, "Oh yeah, here, clone it." And then he saw, he's like, "Oh no, never mind, I don't want this." It's like what?
Mm. Well,
Because it's not like the AI created the 3D model. Oh yeah,
yeah.
but back to that question, I wanted to. So I was interested in that. I was like, AI, I want a motorcycle. Can you just make me one? And so with ChatGPT, like the most I could get out of it was it making like a stick motorcycle in Maya. So I made it. So Maya uses Mel scripting,
Yep.
which is MEL, and so all it could really do was generate boxes and like manipulate them slightly. So it's like, yeah, I
Mm.
don't know. It's beyond that. maybe there's cool stuff.
Mm. You know, I wonder if you can pair AI with 3D scanning and have the AI clean up the model after you scan it. Because, like, you could see lots of worlds in VRChat where they just 3D scan and throw it in, and it looks very crunchy and bad. But if I do know,
Yeah.
we talked with a few people who said the same thing you did. You needed to work with the scan afterwards to make it look good. I wonder if AI could do the cleaning up for you. If you like scan an entire city into a model, give it to AI and say fix it, would it be able to do that with an already generated model?
Yeah, that would be powerful because those scans are, very easy and simple to do.
Hmm.
And it gives you most of the model, so it's not like the AI has to do so much.
Hmm.
That would be interesting, man.
Yeah, that, and you could pair it with Google Maps if you're trying to do real life locations. Like, this is what it should look like, so the AI can just use the map, look around, like, oh, so the model's missing these bits. I can just quickly do a few lines, fix the texture, ta-da.
Dude, and so after all this AI comes out, man, I'm an artist, I'm a 3D artist and everything. I had that feeling too, like, whoa, is it all over now?
Hmm.
But I quickly came to the point of like, sure, if you just say AI, make me a picture of like an angel, it'll be pretty good, but it'll be better if you constantly go back and forth with it, maybe edit it later as a human. So that's why I landed on the side of like, it's more of like an awesome tool.
Hmm.
And if you don't use it, then you're kind of at a detriment. It's like not trying to do math without a calculator.
Hmm. I know I'm gonna use Anias's name, and he's gonna enjoy the fact that I said his name a lot. But he said something similar to that, where in the future, people who can work with AI to make better product will be at a huge advantage over those who don't, because human with AI is probably a powerful combo of workers. Like for you as a 3D model, with you coding, as you said, isn't your strong suit, but AI bridges that gap. So instead of like you as a team, you don't have to pay a coder to do it. It's just you have the AI working with you to do the coding to fill in your where you lack. So you have an advantage there too.
Yeah, and because I had to go back and forth, I actually learned a lot as well. I
Hmm.
learned much more about uh, whatever language Unity is written in, whatever that is. C++?
S-
I don't know.
I think it's C plus, and with VR chats, you can also use Udon Sharp and Udon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's just
Forgive me.
the walls of text really get to me. Ironically, my name is CodeAdvanced, but yeah, the walls of text are hard for me.
Mm. Yep. It all looks like hieroglyphics to me. I only know what people tell me. Otherwise, you ask me to, can you decipher this? Numbers and shapes. Okay.
Well, that's another thing that's awesome about the AI is you can take code and just say and give it to it and be like, tell me what this does. Tell me each part, break it down. Like that's another powerful part.
Mm, that does sound powerful. The closest thing, like having AI to do that is nice because the last only thing coding I've ever had experience with is HTML and Flash over back like in 2010. I took vocational class for web design. Haven't touched it since. I still have no idea. Might as well just look at it, and it's a foreign language to me now.
Yeah, like so with Unity, they specifically have the graph editor.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys and like in Unreal, like I also know Unreal Engine. They have blueprints,
Yeah.
which is visual coding, right? That's the future because that's what really bridged the gap in the beginning before AI for me was the visual coding. Like I actually be able to see the lines connect. Here's the node, and just
Mm.
see the logic that way rather than walls of text. Like that was super helpful.
So
So I think
what is visual coding? That is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Whoa. Hi, folks. You folks come and join us on our social and on our Discord. We would love to see you there. We have a Patreon, and we have two people that have signed on, Training Fangs and Zero. And I hope we get to see you there, folks. We appreciate the time and effort that you make. And my ball's getting out of here because it needs new rubber. Bye.
so. You can imagine like a graph, right?
Mm.
And it's like, okay, I want to start my code, and then you just have start. There's like a node, and then you drag a line from there. What do you want to do after it starts? And you can say okay, I want to move this box to the left. And then it would just, you connect a box and then a move node. And then it's just much easier than trying to type all that and like do the commands. Rather, it's just like start, box, translate.
Hmm. So,
And then as you play it, you could see the flow.
hmm.
It's cool.
Oh. So you end up with more like a web than a wall of code.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't know, like I think it's called it might even be like a VR chat like thing. The because blueprints in Unreal has been the thing for a while, which is exactly what I'm saying, like nodes connecting through strings. But like with Unity, it didn't have that for a long time. And then they call it like Udon something.
I think it's
And I think it
Udon
didn't,
Sharp, Udon Plus.
yeah,
And
isn't that a VR chat thing?
yeah, Udon is a VR chat unit, or it's a Unity and VR chat thing. So it's something that Unity uses, and that's Udon. That's the Unity specific. But Udon Plus, I believe, is VR chat's version of it, if
Okay.
I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, because without that, like I wouldn't have been able to do a lot in Unity. But like that helped me out a lot, the visual coding.
Hmm.
But now, you know, with AI, I do both.
Oh, okay. So, what other things have you learned throughout your time that stuck with you?
Hmm.
Oh, let me rephrase that
That
question. What kinds of things during your when you worked with studios do you still use today? I guess is a better question.
okay, yeah, so this has really saved me. Always save multiple versions of your projects and everything. They were
Hmm.
very like particular on having like multiple versions saved, uploaded. You always want to version up and like properly say this is version 2, 3, 4, 5. And that has really stuck for me. Like this avatar's project is probably like on version 7. And it's like whenever I make a big change, I'll version up. Just because sometimes the file gets corrupted, or you're like, oh no, I didn't see that thing I did for like 5 versions, but now I can go back. So
Hmm.
that's super useful. Like, and then like with my world, man, my world was almost gone. Well, it set me back like 3 months when I lost it, but at least it wasn't fully lost.
Hmm.
Learn to use the GitHub like desktop saving thing. It's like the a way to save different versions of your Unity project through GitHub. That saved my life.
Oh, really? So you could save different
So I
versions
didn't
on
really,
GitHub. I didn't know that.
yeah, and it only will pay attention to the files that that change. So that's
Ah.
why that's why it's not like so huge every time.
Hmm.
And but I'm having some issues where I can't upload it, so it's only locally saved, but it still saved me.
Hmm. It's still nice to have like an external source to save files because I can only imagine how big Unity files and Blender files can get over time when you collect them. I can only imagine when you have like giant projects for like studios working on special effects stuff, they probably get ginormous.
Yeah, so the studio I worked for had a render farm. So they
Hmm.
just had a whole big room that was just a bunch of computers with a bunch of air conditioners. And whenever I would be done with CG, I would, you know, I have to render it, but it'd be like this crazy huge resolution and everything. And it would take like, even with this render farm, it'd take like sometimes take like 30 minutes for one frame. So like
Wow.
I would come back overnight and then realize something I didn't click and be like, oh my God.
So,
And they'd be mad at stuff like that. I'm like, sorry, it's time. I just have to wait.
mm, I could was that the hardest one of the harder parts of the job is the waiting.
Yeah, because it was like, it was because they would be like, what's that little shimmer right there? I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is. And they're like, well, you need to re-render it. It's like, okay, well, it's going to take another day then, just for that one little thing. And then
Oof.
like sometimes they would just be like, okay, we'll take it and just make the like 2D guys edit it out.
Hmm.
And there was like a million of them, so why not? It's just a little thing.
Hmm. So after once you've hopped into VR chat, what kinds of things did you learn here that impressed you or stuck with you?
I was impressed at so I thought VR chat was just a game, right? But
Mm,
it's not, man. I like to think of this as VR chat as like an internet browser or something, right? There's
mm,
everything and anything here. So that kind of blew my mind. So like just like an internet browser, you can find anything and everything, but you don't have to go there. So when I hear people like labeling VR chat as one thing or whatever, it seems pretty silly. And
mm,
dude, it was so impressed. I was so impressed at all the like organization of the community
mm,
and specifically like the DJing stuff. Like, I'm not super old, but I'm a little older, so I don't really go out in real life and do that stuff. But in VR, I will, man, and it's amazing. And I would even argue kind of like it's better, man, because
mm.
you're at home, you're safe. All the visuals and stuff are like nothing can compete with that. You could be like just transcended in space. And then my favorite is like the DJs who have the live feed of themselves above it
Mm,
as they're playing. Like that's super cool, man.
yeah, they run it through like either Twitch or VRCDN to do stuff like that, and then you run that on a media player in the world you have.
Yeah, dude. Like, and I even tell some of my friends, like, dude, like raves and stuff. Like VR is the future for that stuff, man. It's so cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really cool. Like I've had the wonderful chance of talking with a lot of people who are in that, and as well as like people who help build and stuff for the worlds for those clubs. And it seems like there's a whole lot of cool advancements going on. Like for example, there are people who do like the raves and parties in real life. And they're having skills on one I use often is the laser light technicians. And they'll take their skill set from the real world and apply it in VR. So you can like use the same program to run laser lights in VR as you would in like DepCon or
What?
something. Yeah. There's cool stuff like that going
That's
on here
cool.
too.
Yeah, dude. I didn't even think it would translate. I mean, yeah, why not, right?
Hmm. Yeah. There's cool things like that happening here that I've learned that blew my mind. It's like, wait, laser light techs bring their knowledge here? Yeah, and like some of them teach and like, well, that's even cooler. Like, see, they just put their program in the world. There was a post on X. I wish I remembered the group. Please tell me if you're out there. If someone knows, I wish I remembered. I'm dopey as fuck. But there's a club, or not a club. There's an event of sorts that took the real life lights and then matched it with the VR through the same program. So they both moved at the same time in the same position simultaneously. So as the laser is going left and right or expanding or whatever they want it to do, they're both the same in sync.
Whoa. Yeah, that's like those people that match their room in VR, like all the objects and stuff. So
Mm.
wherever they go, it's the same. Dude, it's like blending in, man.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, think of like that new Apple headset coming out, right?
Mm.
Pretty cool, right? Not really our thing, not really geared toward us, but it's like definitely going to help like get VR more popular and
Mm.
progress, right? But you could see like a warehouse of a bunch of people wearing those in VR,
Yeah.
and it's like the same, all synced up. That would be crazy.
Another really cool thing within the club scene I've seen and heard and talked about, Tube is a VR chat club. I think that's also a real life one as well. And they do have an augmented reality overlay where it'll take some bits of the world and then the players, and you can use AR reality right over your room. So you'll see the players and the DJ booth
Whoa.
and some bits of the world pass through in the AR mode of like a Quest 3 is when I saw the stuff post out. And it was
That,
like really cool to see.
yeah, that seems super complicated. I don't know how they would do that. It must be just all in the world, right?
I think so. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not that Unity uh adept to understand. I just know they do magic techno wizardry and it does a thing.
Yeah, the AR stuff is kind of beyond me at this point. Oh, my controller died. Hold on. The AR stuff is kind of beyond me at this point, but I think it's like amazing. Like looking at the new Apple headset,
Mm,
um, that thing is so cool, dude. It's super expensive, and I don't really want to buy it, but it's super cool.
it is really cool. I I'm
And it,
excited for all forms of that stuff. AR, VR, XR, mixed reality, overlays, all of it. It's exciting.
yeah, and I think like eventually it'll be everyone will have AR, right?
Mm,
And it'll just be like how it's implemented.
maybe. I feel like we're like in the VR tech. I think we're in like the Nokia brick phone phase, if you remember. You and I are, I believe, probably about the same age. You know, the really old Nokia phones that wouldn't die. I feel
Dude,
like we're in
I
that
had one,
phase
dude.
of
I had
VR.
one.
Same. I loved the thing. Although I found
Played
one. There's one
Snake on it.
phone I found that was stronger than the Nokia back in the day, and it was a Motorola Quantico brick phone. I enjoyed that phone, and I would many times. I had it in high school. I would take it and just throw it against walls and into traffic. It ended up at the
What?
bottom of a river once, and it would still lasted. The thing wouldn't die. It's like, cool. Guess what? I'm bored. Yoink, and I'd yeet it, and it'd go off at a distance, smash against brick wall, hit the ground, and it would do fine. And I'd pick it up, open up, turn it on, and it would still work. It was a flip phone, so it wasn't like a smartphone or anything, but it was a tough little
What?
buzzard.
Flip phones are more breakable, dude.
Not that one. It was a
Dude, I
military
want flip
spec
phones
phone.
back.
They're coming back, believe it or
Oh.
not. There's like some weird smart folding phones that are out there now.
Dude, I can hear the screen screaming though, dude. It looks so painful for those screens.
Yes.
Like like
Can't you imagine throwing your fucking phone and all you hear is it screaming, "You asshole!"
That
hey, with AI, that might be the future, man.
maybe.
Oh, boy.
I wonder if like at some point everyone have like their own AI assistant like you have. Like you'd be bored and you'd be assigned, guess what? You have ChatGPT version 1. Or version 1.783. This is your designation. And as you get older, it's like a rite of passage where you give it a name and blah blah blah.
Yeah, dude, I forget what that movie was where they had like spirit animals. The polar movie. I forgot what that
Mm,
was. The polar bears.
Well, the funny thing
It's like
with
your own spirit animal when you're born.
yeah, well, with augmented reality and stuff, you could have like the you know, like in Halo where they have their own little AI
Yes.
people. You can have that kind of thing with AR. I'd say in the near future, very easily, because there are people putting AIs in VR chat. For example, you did, for an example, because I saw your video on it, and it's a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So you could do it in AR too. Just have your little AI buddy follow you around while you wear your augmented reality headset.
Yeah, I mean, I even figured out a way to like talk to it, and it responds whenever I say, "What do you think?" It's like a keyword,
Mm.
so it's
Oh,
like it can get really uncanny and weird. Even
oh.
people in my real life have questioned it too. Like no, I'm nothing weird's happening. It's just a cool project.
So what is does the AI function and move okay in VR chat, or is it like very robotic?
So the way I do it is like, she has a separate mic,
Mm,
so the voice that comes out will only trigger her mouth on her avatar. And the way I run two VR chats is in Unity, you can do test versions of your world.
mm.
So I just do that 2 times. So then I can do that. And then I have like I animated her where some like normal idle animations. Think like old StarCraft with those like little like they'd have those set animations that kind of worked with whatever they were saying. Eventually, I'd really like for her to be able to like to trigger things herself based on words and stuff or whatever. Like that'd be really cool.
Mm. You know, you could talk to ChatGPT and see if you can figure that out.
Yeah, dude. You know what else I'd love it for, dude? Just coming up with ideas and stuff too for like
Mm,
videos or avatar ideas. Like being able, because you don't always have someone that's around that's as interested in all this, and AI is always as interested as you want it to be.
yeah, you're right. Oh, did you hear someone else did the same thing you did, and you can visit it. I believe the AI avatar's named is Celeste, I believe. I saw it through Fia's videos talking with it. It can like move basics, like do basic movements on its own. It'll speak and remember everything from when the session you have it
Ooh.
active, something like that.
Like you can go to it in a world and talk to it?
I don't think you can per se because it runs off a person's PC. They'd have to turn it
Oh,
on,
right, right.
but you'd have to like reach out to the person who runs Celeste. But like if you speak to it, if have it for like an 8-hour session, it'll remember things from that 8-hour session.
Yeah, that's got to be ChatGPT then. That's so cool though. If it triggers everything, like that was the original idea, is just have the AI in the world all the time that people can interact with. But it's easier said than done.
Mm. I'm sure it's also not cheap to do either, having like something there all the day, every day. I know if you have your computer on too long, VRChat doesn't like working too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, and then with the ChatGPT 4, it has like a max number of responses within like a few hours. And you could go to like, oh, 1 second.
Oh, oh,
My
that's all right.
my controller died. 1 second.
It's all good. Take your time. Oh, it is pretty cool that people are starting to bring AI into VR. Like I want to see AI do a combination of things for like model worlds, and you'd have like you could do various things with it, or you could have like a friend or a little AI pet follow you around or whatever. Things you could speak to, have a little dragon that flies around, or some weird stuff like that. I think that'd be honestly, pretty sick.
Yes, I
It'd
want
be
the little
it'd be
pet,
cool.
man.
It'd be cool to have a pet like that, Lion. That everybody's not always set. Excuse me, set on being social.
Mm,
So what it amounts to is that little AI that's running around with you. If you've got an idea or something like this, and who writes anything on paper anymore?
mm,
So what it amounts to is you can mention it and ask it to save, and down the road that it remind you, hey, you come up with this idea. What do you want to do with it? You want to save it, or do you want me to chuck it? And it give you an idea more of a feed unit and a company companion that you can interact with. And to a point, how people get a little weird that they
mm.
want it to more react than where it's supposed to, but it's interacting to you and everything else. And somebody can, even if you're standing like there, don't, whatever you do, folks, don't have a little AI mirroring around. That I'd be scary as fuck. But
It'd be great.
you oh, thanks, Line. Yeah, especially the comments that come out of my mouth. But it'd be something like that anybody else could come up and ask it a couple questions or something like this, and it could interact with them in the process of knowing, because you see them now, you see people with just little critters running around that just float beside you or run with you, but it can interact. And if it sees something that you are not seeing because you got your back towards it and it interacts with somebody coming up behind you or something like this, it can notify you that there's people in the room,
Mm,
there's your friends here. See what I'm getting at? Not every world kicks up. If you're in a conversation, you're not paying attention that so and so arrived or anything like this. But if it's on your friends list, hey, in your headset, it tells you you can hear see its mouth move, but it'll pop up and say in your headset in your headphones that lion turtles here and everything else like this. Oh, okay. So that at least they know if they're in a busy conversation with somebody else, that at least they know that you're there. How many times that you've gone in to go see somebody and everything else like this, and you don't want to interrupt their conversation, but they don't even see it, especially me. Don't get me
mm,
wrong, yes, I'm small, but people don't see you. Oh, he's here somewhere and everything else like this. Okay. And it's a reminder to, hey, to go in and react with him because they
mm,
came and saw you. They tagged in or something like this. You send them an invite and they didn't get to you right away. You know how things get that you can't get right away or you're busy, blah, blah, blah. But that person pops in. Oh, he is here. Okay. He got my invite. Correct? Because, that's the biggest thing. A lot of people go, well, why didn't you? I sent you you know how everybody likes to flood and be a dick. I'm going to send out 20 invites to get this person to show up because I want you here because I'm talking about you and stuff that you're doing, but you never show and everything else. All of a sudden you do show. Oh, hey, my friend's here, the person I've been talking to, and everything else like this. When you get,
mm.
and it's a reminder to help you out. It could do you a lot of things. It's just not just with people coming in. It could be that, hey, maybe you told the AI, hey, I want you to remember this world so I can show it to other friends.
Mm,
because your curiosity is, and they like that kind of, and you want to show it to them.
mm,
It gives you a second hand where you might forget, and that person shows up, and you go, well, yeah, you sent me, and oh, I got to show you this world. I want to show it to you, and everything else like this, and I know you'll get a kick out of it because you world hop too, and blah blah blah, and then you can tell them. Now,
mm.
doesn't mean you have to go with them, but you remind them of this world that you've seen, and it passes the buck.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, well, okay,
something else
here's
Raptor
another
could
one.
do is just have your pets to be able to look more realistic. Like it could, instead of like
Yeah.
auto follow you, could like pick up cups and other stuff in the world and run around or just do something outside following you. What do you think about it,
Well,
Code?
That would be awesome.
the same
Yeah,
thing is
like
another thing is if you get somebody that's new to VR, that little character running with you, no matter what character you pick, you get to pick an AI VR person to go with you. It makes you feel like you're not alone, and they can help you where the problems that you have. Okay, same thing like where you were teaching me how to use the camera system. That little AI, you ask it, how do you work the camera system? The system itself in VR would show you properly going at your own speed how to work the camera system or the mirror system. Instead of going up and asking, hey, Code, you're in the busy and stuff like this, how do you work this camera system? Well, your little AI would help you out, and you're not being always a bother, because a lot of people don't have the heart to ask because they're scared they're doing something or interrupting. Your little AI would be what would help you in those points where you are not for sure how to do it, especially if you're new in VR.
Mm.
You come into this thing blind, you're fucked, because people get scared shitless and they don't know what they're doing. They're
That would have been
scared to
perfect, though.
ask.
Yeah.
Yes,
That would have
it'd
been
be
perfect
damn.
because a lot of people are lonely, don't know what to do, having some sort of like friendly voice.
and especially like an avatar or something next to you, talking to you, walking around. I think a lot of people would love that. I would love that.
Give me
Mm.
Oh, yeah,
Cortana.
I love it.
Yeah.
Especially me knowing how, especially with line where you're trying to teach me the camera system, you had to literally walk through it. You can at least, you're not being an aggravation. Not everybody thinks that, but some people do. So you've got your little AI, you could sit there and go, okay, I'm not for sure. Okay, where are, he can interact with you. Okay, where are you lost? Well, you went too fast. I'm still back, because not everybody's got the same speed or the same pickup. Some people are slower than others and everything else like this. Another good example, okay, what about people that you can't understand? Okay, or if somebody is speaking in a different foreign language and everything else like this, that AI can retranslate what they're saying, and you can understand what they're talking to. Or
Yeah,
so
that's
forth.
powerful.
Yeah, and it helps
That
out a lot. It's
like
that gap, or somebody signing to you. Okay, what do you do if you got somebody that's consigned? They get the better with the hand controls, and their hands are doing better, and they start to sign and everything else like this. The AI can actually translate what they are, so there's no gap. There's no more gap between people.
Yeah.
It'd be nuts.
Dude, and all they would need to do is just let people plug in their subscriptions to the AI.
Yeah.
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 Well, all those things are possible, and I would like to see all those things become a thing. Like, I don't know how possible it is, as I'm no techno wizard like you. I'm a person who asks
I'm in
questions.
left field, but
Yeah, but
better off waiting for the ball to fall on
how
mine. I'm out in the
how
fucking background.
since you have some intimate knowledge on that stuff, how possible is stuff like that to do in Unity?
So yeah, that subtitle thing that I was talking about, it's kind of the same thing where it gives you everything, but you have to plug in your subscription, right, for it to really work. So it seems like someone could make like I don't know. I guess the mods and stuff are hard to make for this game, but it seems possible if you could figure out a way to connect it to that. And each person would have to. It probably wouldn't work without that. But
Well,
I mean, somehow they do some crazy stuff with like there was I've been trying to figure out like if a Quest user wanted to buy an avatar from me, how would be the most secure way to do it? And there's like none, there's zero.
Mm.
Instead of like, the only way would be like me getting his information and uploading it on his account, which is definitely not secure.
Mm.
But they have these, I found out they had these software that you're supposed to run alongside VRChat for some avatars so it verifies that you own it. It sounded super complicated though, but maybe something like that.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, even in the translation thing, would it be hard to like have the AI access the chat bubble feature, the text box thing that VRChat has and built in, just have it like listen and then poop out the translation via text box?
That I don't know. That could be super easy or super not. Depends on how friendly they are with it. Like, cause
Mm.
they're like making the worlds and stuff. They have like special nodes, special everything that VRChat like wants you to use. They like, even like shaders for the worlds and stuff. They have like VRChat approved ones and stuff. So maybe something like that exists. They even have special code that is VRChat specific. That
Mm.
is like that they obviously put into Unity for the game, like with the SDK.
Yeah. Hmm.
So if you can access that in the Avatar SDK, then probably
Hmm. Okay.
like have it read it, because yeah, it's really good at translating and everything quickly, man.
Hmm. So that's good to know. As a change of gears, what kind of content do you produce on YouTube? Because I've seen your videos, but for those who don't know, what kind of content do you do and how long have you been running that?
Yeah, so I started it maybe like a year now. It's been like a year. It's ever since I kind of started the avatars every week now, since it was like November 2022, I think, when I started. And yeah, so at first I was just making like random stuff. I'd make like skits, I'd make like videos about worlds, videos about avatars. But now, I came out with this little news show that I do that's more, it's like VR kind of gaming content. But I like to go into like AI too because of the AI assistant.
Hmm.
And it's fun to get her thoughts on things. Like I myself like listening to her responses to like what I'm talking about. Like Power World, that game, like having her like talk to me about it. It's cool insights from a non-human. And so yeah, I do a lot of that. And then I think another cool thing about VR chat is all the avatars, right? And all the
Hmm.
funny scenarios you can do.
Hmm.
So one thing I like to do is like get like funny conversations from streamers, shows, or whatever, and put the voice through the avatar. And it's like super easy when you have like the mic and stuff, so the lip sync looks really good. So that's really fun to do too. Like I like showcasing a lot of the avatars. I want to start a series where I just showcase like the coolest avatars, like the coolest Goku avatar, because there's so many, right? But there's got
Hmm.
to be the coolest one.
That would be pretty cool. There are a lot of avatars and VR content being pumped out daily. Like I'm sure it's pretty even hard to catch up with it all. Yeah.
Yeah, like as far as like views and following and stuff, I have no idea. I just kind of do what I want to do.
Hmm.
I don't really chase views or anything like that. Um, Seems like if you want to do that, it'd be more like the funny, like kind of sporadic content that
Hmm.
gets like a lot of the views. It's like I do a lot of shorts. When I first started, I did a lot of shorts just because that got the most traction and the most subscribers.
Hmm.
But I'm doing more videos now. I like to do like long form, like 20-minute long videos on worlds now and really focus on it. Because man, some of these worlds have like not a lot of visits, not a lot of like attention, but they deserve it, man.
Hmm. I There are a lot of worlds I do agree that need the attention. Like with the amount of worlds that get posted and published daily, I feel like a lot of worlds just get left in the wayside and forgotten quite quickly, or you may not even know it exists. Like the one we're in, I didn't know it existed till I was world hopping through things later, and I only find half the worlds I find through VRChat photographers. So I'm sure there's a whole lot of worlds
Yeah,
of
dude,
people
they're
out there who don't know these things exist.
Yeah, the VR chat photographers. What a group of people. I didn't really know it was so many people until I joined X. It's like, wow, this is like a profession, man. And it's awesome because yeah, you do get insights into all these worlds, really cool shots. Um, yeah, and it's cool whenever like VR chat themselves feature creators and worlds and stuff.
Hmm. It is cool, and it is sad. Like as you said, worlds get left behind with all the time and not seen. There's a lot of people who need to get their stuff seen and looked at. Yeah.
Yeah, like so many people do really cool stuff, especially with like the efficiency, right?
Mm.
Like whenever I go into a world that's super complicated, but I'm getting like 90 frames, I'm like, holy shit, this is like really fucking good.
Yeah.
Because the efficiency is key, especially, you know, you think about all the quest people and everything. It can look amazing and do all these things, but if it's not efficient, like it's not going to be popular.
Mm. What's the point of making a really amazing world if people are chugging at 2 frames a bit going through your world to begin with?
Yeah, it's an art, man. It's an art. And you know, like people like to like talk crap about Bethesda and other games and stuff, but one key thing they do is they use small texture sizes in creative ways, and you can save a lot of like frames that way.
Hmm.
So like, I mean, like, you know, if you can make like a 512 by 512 texture fit on that mountain and it look all right, that's like a genius move.
Hmm. So, question for you then on that topic. Within the professions you've worked in with 3D modeling, what have been some optimization techniques that you've learned that they use?
Yeah, so I found that the polygon count is important, but not as important as people think. A lot of it is like the texture size. That's really like one of the big parts about it. And then also, weirdly enough, the the bones. Like you don't have to have only enough bones as you need, you know? That's
Mm.
another weird thing that causes performance issues. And yeah, I mean, they were all about efficiency because they wanted to be as fast as possible for the money. So I really had to focus on that. Like with the rendering time, it couldn't be longer than it needed to be for no good reason. So
Mm.
I really had to figure out what made it longer. And that did translate into Unity for VR chat. And a lot of the times it was like this super big texture, like this bump map or whatever, that was just like a small piece, but it was in 4K.
Mm. Okay. So texture memory and bones are two things people can look at to like make sure things are optimized and run smoothly.
Yeah, yeah. And let me see what else. Oh, here's a big one. This avatar and most of my avatars only use one material. And the way I do that is masking. So like I only want the TV to glow this way. So I have a mask on it where everything else is black except for the TV.
Mm.
And now I can only manipulate that part. And then you put all those masks in the shader and you still only have one shader, one material. And that's like super efficient.
Oh,
So
interesting.
and I feel like you rarely need more than one unless the shader, you know, the only time I need more than one is when I run out of emission slots. Because some of them I want like 5 emission slots, 5 different masks. Most of them
Hmm.
have 3.
Okay. So how does one create those masks for emissions and shaders then?
Yeah, so what I do is like I'll model the avatar. It's all different geometry, like the hand, the jacket is all different. Then when I'm done, you know, it's rigged. I mean, not rigged. When I'm done, I'll select it all and combine it into one uh, mesh, right? It's still
Yeah.
all separated, but the program thinks it's one, and then I'll assign one material to it. And then I'll just do the UVs, which is like how it's pretty much like skinning an avatar, right? It's the
Yeah.
best way I can explain it. And you put that all down. So you bring it into, I like to use Substance Painter,
Hmm.
and then I'll make all the masks first, right? So they'll be like, okay, this mask will only be affecting the screen. I'll paint the screen white, everything else black, and then I'll make my masks first, and then this texture it's like Photoshop. The
Hmm.
layer above it only affects.
Yeah.
And then all my avatars are also Quest compatible. So the only difference in that is instead of having a bunch of different masks for the emission, I'll just have one.
Hmm.
Because they just use one. So it'll
Okay.
still glow, but it won't be all flashy and different.
Okay. Is building for Quest easy for you, or is it difficult?
It is. Well, I could be more efficient with it with some models. There's a few of my models that actually work as custom fallbacks. So it
Oh.
means they're like 7,000 polygons and down.
Hmm.
And so those are cool. Um, but there's a cool tool in Unity called like VRC Quest Convert or something. I think that's what it's called, Avatar Quest Convert.
Hmm.
And so after you make the PC one, you click that and it'll just duplicate it and assign like a Quest compatible shader. From there, you can manipulate the shader and everything. Theoretically, though, you could literally make the model again much smaller, much less polygons and everything. But the main thing I do is I lower the texture size for the Quest. So
Hmm.
like most of mine are 2K for the textures, and I'll lower it to like 1K or 512.
Hmm. Okay.
And a lot of times they'll be like medium quality on Quest. It's hard to get like excellent or good quality on Quest.
Hmm. I'm sure it is hard, especially since I believe the Quest requirements changed once the VRChat released the mobile phone app as well, because I don't think they have requirements for the phone that's much more strict than the Quest headset.
Yeah, speaking of that, the whole imposters, you know about that?
A little bit. I see them now and again. I believe you have to have it like built a certain way for imposters to work, because I see a lot of people with
Well, it
imposters and
seems
some don't.
well, it seems like you can do it for any avatar because all you have to do is go to the website. If you upload the avatar, you go to it and say generate imposter, right? And
Yep.
it'll automatically do it in like 3 minutes. And like you can go look at it in the game through the avatar details, and it looks pretty rough. But I've done it for every one of mine just in case. But it's weird because you can only do 10 a day. So if you have a backlog, you kind of have to catch up.
Ah.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Hmm. I'm sure over time they'll perfect it, work it so that they look less 8-bit and they'll look better over time. But either way, having that imposter there is like, even if you haven't built for Quest, it is something, which is better than nothing. So at least I'll have a rough idea what you look like.
Yeah, I think most people don't want to be seen as something they're not seeing themselves as.
Hmm.
So like most people probably hate it if you're seeing their fallback or whatever. Because that's not what they want you to see.
Hmm.
So I think it's good in that sense. Even if it's rough, it's still like generally what you want them to see instead of like rush guy.
Hmm. I, I can definitely agree, especially since I'm one of those people that doesn't hop into different avatars. What you see me as is what I'll be as for a very long period of time. So I definitely can agree with
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say I like the jacket, man. Is that new?
It is fairly new. A friend of mine who 3D models has been helping me update the avatar and make it look a little better, because I used to run around as a Nanachi. If you go into some of the older videos, you'll see the Nanachi I was as. And then a friend of mine, Snuff, showed me Odo Golden Paw's Foxo model. Shout out to you, bud. You have a great model base. And I thought it looked so much better. Like it's a lot less chibi and angelic. So I switched to this. And then a friend of mine's like, oh, there's this really cool thing for that make clothes, and I can't read my site right now, but I'll put the link in the description though where the jacket is. But they make there's a group in GitHub and stuff that makes really good clothes as well.
Yeah, like
Virtual.
being honest.
Sorry, I'll think of it later. Sorry.
I was,
Yeah.
I was gonna say like being honest, like furries are the coolest people in here. Every time I meet them, they're not crazy, they're not loud and stuff.
Mm.
And but it's just not my thing. I never
Yeah.
thought it was that cool. But yours is pretty cool. Yours
Thank
is
you.
like the closest one where I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool, man.
Mm. Thank you.
Like
I
the jacket, the
appreciate it.
hair, and everything. It's cool.
the color scheme, like the blue, orange, and black, is a scheme I've had since I've started using an avatar. Like before, I'd avatar up and like I don't like this, but once I got into the Nanachi, which I bought the base model from a Scottish Ripper. It was his Foxy model, and I was like, I like this thing. I want to be as this, and the color scheme stuck since. Like I altered his
Sweet.
texture. It was instead of being orange, black, and white, it was just orange and black. Been there since, and I just remember what it's called. They're virtual threads. Shout out to you guys too. You make good stuff.
Yeah, so wait, how does that work though? How did you just bought it for your avatar and it just
No,
fits?
nope. So the virtual threads has the Unity package and the FBX files for the shirt, for example, use the jacket. And my friend who threw it onto the avatar for me threw that in a blender and then optimized it, did the weight
Oh, okay.
painting, molded it to the avatar itself so it looked good, and didn't just throw into Unity. There, it's good to go. There was some like blender work with it as well. But
But
however you wish to do it
but so
is.
they gave you all the textures and
Yep.
everything.
Yep, I believe this
Yeah,
jacket
okay.
comes with 2 separate texture packs, one with their logo in the back and one without their logo in the back. So it comes with actually quite a lot, and this jacket is very high poly. Fair warning, most of it's in the collar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think the high poly really affects the performance that much. Like after my testing with everything, like VRChat freaks out about it, but it doesn't seem to
No.
eat the frames as much as like textures and stuff.
Yeah, when she was working on the avatar, I was watching her kind of optimize a little bit for the collars and stuff. And there are ways you can optimize without like getting rid of polygons. Like there's some other roundabout ways of optimizing without really destroying the quality of the product. And I thought that was interesting as well, watching her work in the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll do that too, where I'll model it really high and then I'll reduce it. And I have like a few tools I use in Maya to reduce it, and then eventually you could just delete lines itself. Just, just to be a little more efficient.
Mm, yeah. I'd say a lot of the people, the techno wizards such as you and her, Virtual Threads and Odo Goldenpaw, the amount of stuff you guys create and how well they look, I'm always impressed by. Like even down to like groups and communities making things like or groups making like raves, just watching a lot of people work and seeing the products. Like I don't know how the hell you guys do it, but that is fucking sick. I wish I had half the knowledge you guys do most of the time.
I agree, man. And it is special. And it's like most of it, a lot of people do it for free, just for fun,
Hmm.
because they're motivated. And I mean, that's why I do a lot of it. Like the avatars I make every week, I just upload them into my world. You can go get them. It's
Hmm.
just it's like a motivating thing for me.
Hmm.
Eventually, I want to get into like maybe commissions or whatever in that, but for now, whatever.
Hmm. Well, for the meantime, the fact that VR chat players and creators such as you, I do feel like most of them want it to be for fun. Like when VR chat started coming out with the creator community and the creator economy updates are talking about it, a lot of VR chat players, like especially on X and in the community talks, a lot of people were very against like bringing money into it because a lot of people don't do it for money. They do it because they enjoy doing it. They DJ because it's fun. They want you to have fun too. They run a club and community so you can enjoy your weekend. They make avatars because it's how they de-stress after the day. And it seems like VR chats and as a whole is resistant to that aspect of it.
Yeah, and it's complicated, right? Because
Mm.
a lot of people want their own little custom avatar. They want to spend money. But then if you look at games like Roblox and stuff, which is kind of a weird little analogy, right?
Mm.
It can get crazy, man. It can get scammy. It can get very greedy. And it is
Mm.
very special now when, like, well, I guess before the economy thing, when the only thing was to subscribe for more avatar slots or whatever, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, we could be living in a time where this game is about to get crazy or not, but like you
Yeah.
said,
it's not the same type of people that play this game as Roblox.
No. Well, I'd say once those things start to roll out, you'll probably see those people come out of the woodworks. But the current VRChat user base is very much we do this for fun, not for money. And like there is that split of the people like, oh, I want people to pay admission to the club, but there's going to be a majority of them is like, yeah, no, you're not going to pay admission. We'll have a donation box in the center of the world if you want. Other than that, it's free. And I'm glad VRChat itself, in a way, has that mindset because at least when they start involving money, you won't be scammed out of your cash by some half janky Roblox style thing.
Yeah, like yeah, dude. I imagined it like having real money and like giving it to people as like a tip, like a DJ, like throwing it at them.
Yeah, I definitely imagined that as well. And I hope that's what they allow. Right now, it's like a subscription system with the VR chat credits, I believe.
Yeah, it's so like weird. Only certain worlds. It just made the worlds worse, right? Like
Mm,
nothing got better, right?
yeah. Well, I believe right now they only released it to certain people to test it. And even then, I think the creators are trying to find ways to incorporate it. And I will give them that much credit without like ruining the world. But even then, it kind of feels like cosmetic purchasing and not necessarily anything else. Like if like I'd donation to like, subscribe to like a creator like the Black Hat because it's fun, not for like cool you can change the skin of the world and cosmetic stuff. Although it's appreciated, but like giving people the ability to do those things, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I mean, I definitely just want to donate to a lot of people just because I want to support them.
Mm,
Um, so it'd be cool to have an avenue like that for sure. So yeah, hopefully more people go that way and less restricting. Because dude, being like I went to the what was it? Oki Fest 2023. This is
mm.
like Okinawa Japanese Virtual Festival here.
Yep.
And I was reading about these festivals, these like concerts that people pay to get in.
Yeah.
And it perplexed me a little bit. Just because I never did that. I mean, I pay to go to concerts. People pay for pay-per-view. People pay to watch boxing. I guess it's similar.
Mm,
But I guess it would have to be pretty good quality for it to
yeah.
be paid and not have any hiccups.
Yeah. Well, I understand for like festivals where you have to pay people to come play music for you. But since we're in VR chat and not the real world, you can go to like Club O and watch DJs play music for free. Like you could go to the festival,
Yeah.
or you could go to a VR chat club for free and see some DJs play music, and you get the similar feel in both.
Yeah, there was, I guess one cool thing I saw was a VR chat video of some performers. And apparently the performers were also in New York on a big screen.
Oh.
So, and people were watching it in real life on the big screen and in VR chat. And the performers were interacting, well, they were only interacting with the real people. But it
Hmm.
was live, it was different.
Hmm.
And they were like, you can't record it in VR chat.
Yeah. That's sort of common amongst people, and I understand too. Like, if you want it to just be for people to come to you to see, I understand. Though, if you're in a virtual space, you can't really control that all that much. You could say, "Shame on you," but how are you gonna know in VR?
Yeah.
Because they can just look through their eyes, and you won't get a notification that they're recording.
Yeah. If even you don't even have to have the camera out, you can still record.
Hmm. Indeed. Well, Mr. CodeAdvanced, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to speak and meet with you. Where can people find you if they wish to reach out?
Yeah, dude, it was a pleasure, man. I love talking to you guys. Yeah, I'm just Code Advanced on YouTube, Code Advanced Official on Instagram, Advanced Code on Twitter. Yeah, check me out, man.
Hmm. Raptor, you there? You know the thing.
I think you can hear. Yeah, always the thing. No matter what you do, folks in here, if you have an idea or an avatar or something you want to play in or what you want to be, guess what? You can get crazy with it. If not, have fun with it. But one thing we all know, It's just VR. Have a blast, folks. Give it hell. And don't knock on my door because I don't sell cookies. We'll talk to you later. Bye, folks. See you later.